Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're jumping into one of the most important ideas in AI today, Retrieval-Augmented Generation, or as everyone calls it, RAG. We're going to break down what it is, why it's such a big deal, and how it's basically giving our smartest AIs an open book exam to make them even smarter. Okay, so to really get why RAG is a game changer, we have to start with the problem it's trying to solve. And that problem is that large language models, or LLMs, for all their amazing abilities, have a pretty serious flaw, one that can be, well, really expensive. And the stakes are just incredibly high. We're not talking about small mistakes. When an AI doesn't know something, its default isn't to say, I don't know. Instead, it can just make something up. We call this hallucinating, and as you can see here, it can have massive consequences. I mean, a $100 billion hit, that's not a small glitch.
So what's causing these huge errors? Well, a big part of it is that an LLM's knowledge is essentially frozen in time. It's trained on this gigantic snapshot of the internet, but that snapshot has a hard cutoff date. It knows nothing about what happened yesterday or even an hour ago.
This is really the best way to think about it. A standard LLM can't look up new information. And just as importantly, it can't see your company's private documents or the latest industry reports. It's stuck taking a closed-book test, trying to answer questions using only what it memorized months or even years ago.
So if the problem is a closed-book exam, the solution seems kind of obvious, right? Let's just give the AI an open book. Let's see how this one simple idea builds a totally different and much more reliable kind of AI.
And that is precisely what Retrieval-Augmented Generation does. It's a framework, first laid out in a 2020 research paper, that connects the LLM to an outside source of information. This lets the AI look things up in an up-to-date, authoritative knowledge base before it gives you an answer. This slide just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the standard LLM, basically guessing from its old training data. But on the other, you have a RAG system. It gets to consult an open book, your company's internal wiki, a live database, whatever you connect it to, and find the relevant facts first. So how does the AI actually read from this open book? Well, the process itself is surprisingly straightforward and really elegant. It breaks down into just a few key steps. The whole secret is right there in the name. First, when you ask a question, the system retrieves the most relevant chunks of information from its knowledge source. Second, it augments your original question by stuffing that retrieved context right into the prompt. And finally, the LLM generates an answer based on this new, super detailed prompt. All right, this diagram shows you the whole process, the real nuts and bolts. Let's walk through it. It all starts with your question, the user query. That gets turned into something called a vector embedding, basically a numerical representation of its meaning. Then, the system does a similarity search against a library of preprocessed documents from your knowledge base. It finds the pieces of text that are most similar in meaning to your question. Those relevant docs are retrieved, and their content is used for context augmentation. It's literally pasted into your original prompt. Only then, at the very end, is that big, context-rich prompt sent to the LLM to get you a final, fact-based answer. Now, this whole system runs on some seriously cool tech. That knowledge base can be anything: PDFs, websites, you name it. An embedding model acts like a universal translator, turning all that text into numbers, or vectors, that capture the meaning. And all those vectors live in a vector database, which is special because it organizes information by how similar the concepts are. This means the system can search for ideas, not just keywords, making the whole retrieval step incredibly fast and smart.
Okay, so we've seen how it works, but why is this open book method so powerful? Well, the benefits go way beyond just getting more accurate answers. This really changes how we can build trustworthy AI.
The advantages here are just massive. First, it cuts down on hallucinations because the AI is grounded in actual facts. It's always current since you can update the knowledge base anytime. It builds trust because the AI can actually show you its sources. It's way more cost-effective than constantly retraining a giant model, and it gives developers total control over what the AI knows.
And hey, the numbers don't lie. Look at this. On a certain task, GPT-4 by itself might get a 75% accuracy score. Pretty good, but just add RAG, give it that open book, and it jumps to 80%. Then, if you combine RAG with fine-tuning, which is like giving the AI some extra coaching, it climbs all the way to 86%. That's a huge lift.
This is why RAG is showing up everywhere.
It's the engine behind smart customer service chatbots that know your latest company policies. It's powering internal knowledge engines that let employees just ask questions instead of digging through documents. It's even making e-commerce recommendations better by using real-time product info.
But, and this is a big but, RAG isn't a magic wand. It's not a perfect solution. It solves some really big problems, for sure, but it also introduces some new challenges of its own. Let's look at the road ahead.
This is such a critical point. Even if you hand the LLM the perfect set of facts, it can still misinterpret them. It can still create a misleading narrative around the facts you gave it. It's a powerful tool, but it's not foolproof. And yeah, researchers have mapped out where these systems can break down. Sometimes the retriever pulls the wrong info, or maybe it doesn't find anything at all. And what happens when it finds two documents that completely contradict each other? Which one does it trust? Building a really solid RAG system is a tough, ongoing engineering challenge. And that leaves us with this really fascinating final thought. RAG is brilliant because it solves the knowledge access problem. It gives the AI an open book. But in doing that, it opens up a whole new can of worms. How does an AI learn to judge the quality and trustworthiness of information? How does it decide which version of the truth to believe? That right there is the next great